Hello friends, welcome back to the Miss Ink Stamps YouTube channel. This is Lauren Taylor from Lauren Taylor Made, and I'm grateful to have you here for a card making video. Today I'm going to be using Churrific stamp set, the Magic Star stencil, and a few other frame dies from Miss Ink Stamps. I'm going to start with stenciling the Magic Star stencil, and I have this pattern paper with a cute little magical mouse design on the checkered background from a paper pad, and I'm going to use that to inspire my color choices today. So through the Magic Star stencil on some white cardstock, I'm using blending brushes with dried marigold and saltwater taffy distress oxides to make a kind of ombre blend between the pink and the orange onto this white cardstock. I thought these colors matched really well with the checkered design, and I think they're going to layer very nicely together on this nice and easy fandom magic amusement park themed card. I'm going to stamp the churros onto some alcohol marker friendly white cardstock using my Ink on 3 Blackout Detail ink. I need to purchase a refill or a re-inker, so it's going to be a little bit on the light side, but that's okay because I'm going to leave my stamps in my MISTI. So that way, once I'm done coloring them with my markers, I'm going to stamp them again with a VersaFine Clair ink. So I'm going to speed up my coloring, but I'm using Olo markers in different brown shades. I am starting with OR 3.7 to be the darkest shade of my churros. Then I will move into a mid-tone using OR 3.4. Now there is a pretty big jump between the 3.7 and 3.4, so I'm going to do a tip-to-tip blend to kind of create more of a medium tone in between those two colors, and then I'll finish it off with my lightest color of 3.2. I brought back in the 3.4 to add a little bit of dots to give it that candy sugar coating that churros have. And then I'm using some warm grays in 3, 1, and 0 to color in the wrapper, the little paper tissue wrapper for the churros. I'm putting the paper back into my MISTI and I'm grabbing Pinecone VersaFine Clair ink and I'm going to stamp right on top of those images that I colored, and it will give it a nice bold brown outline, which I think just goes really well with the overall coloring of the churros. Next, I'll go ahead and grab some scissors. I'm going to start with just cutting these down to 2 different images, and then I'm going to bring in some detailed scissors to fussy cut the churros out. Because I did just stamp with that VersaFine Clair ink, I'm being very careful to let the ink dry while I cut so I don't smear the images in any way. Once those were done, I decided to grab one more color of cardstock. I wanted to find something a little bit more on the pink as well, so I'm going back to that paper pad that I have. It's called Enchanted from scrapbook.com, and I'm going to use this to do a little bit of layering. I like using my frame dies. Today I'm using Eieio and Punny frame to create a layered card. It's a great way to use up some stenciled cardstock, some pattern paper to make a fun, simple card, but still has a lot of color and fun because of those designs. So I die cut out the different layers using the different rectangles. These are all in like A2 nested size. And then I have this banner that I die cut from a banner die set, and I cut it out twice. I used a pretty thin white cardstock to die cut them, so I wanted to cut 2 to make sure it was a nice thicker piece of cardstock. I'm grabbing the sentiment, all you need is faith, trust, and churro dust, which I think is so fun, especially if you are a magical amusement park goer. And I'm stamping it in the same VersaFine Clair Pinecone ink, and I did kind of twist the stamp a little bit just so it would follow the curve of my banner die, and then I will glue those 2 layers together. Once those are dry, I will have all of the different elements ready to go to assemble this card front. I'm going with just a little simple layout of the churros around the sentiment and just letting those background paper and stenciled images just really be the star of the show. Well, besides the churros, of course. I'm going to glue the checkered print onto that pink solid cardstock, and then I'm going to glue that to the center of our stenciled background. I'm using my Pear Blossom Press Card Maker T-Square ruler to help me get that centered onto that stenciled background. I've added a thin 1mm foam adhesive to the backs of my sentiments and my churro images, and I'm going to peel off the release paper and first add the banner. I'm going to add the churros where I think they're going to go on the card once I adhere them down, so that way it will give me space to add my banner. I'm using my grid to try to get this as centered and I guess sort of straight as possible. It is a curvy banner, so it doesn't need to be super straight, which is nice. Then I'll add our churro, the singular one on top, and our duo of churros here on the bottom. I wanted to add something that would really give off the feeling of churro dust or pixie dust, so I'm going to grab my liquid Stardust and I'm going to add some water. I've just poured it right onto my glass board here, and I'm grabbing a paintbrush and I'm splattering that all over the card. Luckily, I used a VersaFine Clair, which won't bleed with water, and I just made that super shiny. It's hard to see on camera, but in the light, it really has a fun shine and glow to it. Finally, I'm going to glue this to my A2 card base. This is 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 once scored and folded and cut down, and I have it as a top folding card base. I wanted to add one more sentiment on the inside. There's lots of great sentiments in this set, so I wanted to do one more for the inside of the card. So I'll go ahead and grab my VersaFine Clair Pinecone ink again and my clear block, and I'm going to stamp Churro, it's your birthday on the inside of the card. I'm going to use my grid here to try to get that centered and straight as well, and that will finish off the card. I think, again, this is such a cute card, a little simple fandom for those park goers in your life, especially for their birthday with this inside sentiment. But there are a couple other sentiments you could use as well, like cheer up or you're Churrific, depending on the occasion for this card. Here's a final look at how our card turned out. I think it's really cute. I can't wait to give it to someone, probably my mom, who loves going to the parks, and I think this would be a cute card for her. But thanks for joining me here on the Miss Ink Stamps YouTube channel. Stay tuned for even more inspiration. Thanks for watching. Bye!